In this video, I'm talking about 7 weird autism traits that you definitely need to know to get a bigger picture. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Aspie world. My name is Dan and I have autism and ADHD. I'm making videos like this on this subject every single week. So if you're new around here and you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this. Okay, so 7 weird traits. Why are they weird traits? Well, autism comes with many different issues and many different quirks, okay? So we call these traits or symptomatic characteristics. Now I've labeled out 7 of those I think are kind of like, I say weird, but they're more like odd or quirky or a little bit different off the norm of typically saying like, okay, they have issues with communication or eye contact. All those things are typically given, right, for autism. These ones are completely separate. So let's get into the first one. So the first one here is smelling everything. Now with autism, you get something called sensory processing disorder. And that means that autistic individuals will find that the smell or the taste or the texture or the temperature or the situation of something may be heightened or hypo reactive, meaning it's either overly sensitive or underly sensitive to those things. Now that being said, what would happen in this situation is that things like objects, inanimate objects, would have like a smell. We as autistic individuals will smell many things. Like my mum always used to be like, Dan, why are you smelling everything? A lot of the time it would be maybe food, so like the smell of a food would depict if I'm gonna particularly want to try it or not. But then there's other things, like I smell like the water, like it smells nothing like it tastes, but that's interesting to me, right? But then I smell other things, like smelling my hands, smelling like the table, smelling my iPad. All those things are smells that will characterize what that object is within the autism brain. So autistic people, yeah, we smell things, but we smell things because we're trying to categorize them so we can understand what they are. Kind of like, I have a difficulty recognizing people's faces, but I recognize their shoes and their voices. Okay, number 2 is collecting trash, garbage, or rubbish. Okay, not every autistic individual goes out and collects garbage, right? Not like we're going to like the bin and taking out all the rubbish and putting it in a big bag and taking it home. That's not what I mean. What I mean is simply this. Autistic individuals will find interest in things like certain colors or types of things, or it could even be logos of a company. It could be like cereal boxes, right? So then they're obsessed with looking for cereal boxes that have been thrown out in the trash. So then they might go out and find a cereal box and then take that cereal box home, but it's from the trash. So a lot of parents that I know are like, my kid collects rocks. I know, I see you, right? If you're a person who collects rocks and you're on the spectrum, give this video a thumbs up because I just called you out. I see you. But the parents are like, my son is literally collecting like garbage or cans, like tin cans or food boxes or packages or something that's now taking over my house. But it's not that they're collecting rubbish because it's dirty or it's gross. They're collecting those things because they like something about those that gives them joy. Kind of like that Maria Kondo thing where that sparks joy. They want to surround themselves in life with that thing.
Do you ever get that thing where like you're walking to the kitchen and you're going in for something and then you get to the kitchen and you forget that you're actually there? Or you have so many things to do that you get none of them done and you hit that inertia. It could be that you have ADHD and it's undiagnosed. But the people at ADHDnow.ie are doing online ADHD assessments to help you with the correct diagnosis for the correct level of help and maybe medication that you need. Now, if you are interested in finding out how you can be assessed for ADHD from the comfort of your own home with skilled professionals in an incredibly comfortable environment online, you can go to ADHDnow.ie, or you just go to the link in the description down below. I will also leave a link for this in the link in my bio. All right, guys, back to the video.
Okay, number 3 is food plus situation equals perfect. Dan, what on earth does this mean? Let me characterize this in a very simple way. When I was in primary school, so I was about 4 or 5 years old, I'd eat custard in the school at lunchtime in school. But if my mum had that custard, the exact same custard, made the same way, even if she got it from the school and heated it up and gave it to me at home, I couldn't eat it because the situation, the environment for the food didn't match up. So autistic individuals will have a food and an environment for that food where they'll feel comfortable. Like they may sit on the couch with a certain bag of like snacks that is for that show. Or they will eat dinner in a restaurant of a certain ilk, and then at home, they won't eat that. Like, maybe they love pizza in Pizza Hut, but at home, they won't even touch pizza, let alone even if you ordered the pizza from Pizza Hut. This is really interesting. Situational food environments are so interesting. This thing like blows my mind, but it's so interesting, so quirky. We all have it as autistic individuals. Don't lie to me and say you don't. I know you do. Yes, comment down below. I want to know right now, what is your quirk, right? Let me know down below. Guys, I actually have a course, like an online program called How to Turn Your Obsessive Interest into a Career for Autistic Individuals. You can go to the link in my description right now or the link in bio, and if you're watching on Instagram, just comment career and I'll send you a DM with this information. So definitely check it out. If you're wanting to learn more about turning your special interests into a monetized platform, then I can teach you how to do that. It's all online, on demand. You're awesome. Okay, so number 4 is only hard physical touch. What does this mean? Well, soft and light physical touch is like somebody brushing up against you or touching you lightly. Those are awful for autistic individuals. We can't deal with that, but we can deal with people really giving us like some strong, deep pressure, muscle activated proprioception hugs, because light touch is hard to understand what is going on. So if somebody touches you lightly, your brain is kind of trying to understand this communication, right? Whereas if you were hard touching somebody, we know exactly what's going on. Somebody grabbed me, they're touching my arm, this makes sense. So autistic individuals prefer some really strong physical touch rather than light, soft physical touch. This did become a big issue in one of my previous relationships, my romantic relationship with my last partner, and I wrote about it in my book, Autism for Adults. So you can get it right now, autismforadults.com. If you want to go to that right now, you can get a copy of your book. And if you sign up for the Street Team, you get a free digital version of the book as well. So Autism for Adults covers this quite in detail about the kind of like romantic relationship side of it and touch. But for this video, I'm just talking about the fact that physical touch can be difficult for autistic individuals unless it's actually hard pressure physical touch. Okay, so number 5 is synesthesia. Now, synesthesia is where an autistic person, or any person can have this, but autistic individuals have this. It's a condition that is very common or comorbid, co-occurring, comes alongside autism, where you will see things differently to the average person. So what this is like you will hear sound and see color, or you will hear a word and see like a color or an image, right? And it can vary from things like a guy I know, when somebody slams a door, he sees like sparks of blue light everywhere. But for me, when I hear the months of the year or the days of the week, they're in certain colors and like a block in my mind. And this is really interesting, and I didn't realize that nobody did this until I started talking about it, and people were like, yeah, Dan, this isn't something that we do typically. If this is something that you've heard of before, I want to know, what do you experience with synesthesia? Okay, number 6 is quite a funny one. It's delays in jokes, or delays in understanding jokes. What this means is simply this. This is an example. I'd be like in work, I was sitting around, somebody tell me a joke, like, hey, Dan, you know, like, what's brown and sticky? And I'm like, what? And they go, a stick. And I'm like, typing away, right? And then after a while, I was like, dang, I don't know that. Anyway, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, and I go to the bathroom, you know, I go to the bathroom and I'm washing my hands and I'm like, oh, I get it, stick, because they thought we were going to say poop, but they said a stick, and I laughed uncontrollably. This happens pretty much with every joke. If I hear a new joke that I don't know the person properly who's telling me, if it's just an acquaintance, then I'm going to be really delayed in understanding this. Now, this comes with something called alexithymia, which is a broad term within an autism spectrum disorder, but in a very short, simple, typical sense, it's the delay in understanding the joke, right? Which is really interesting. Okay, number 7 is really interesting. This one is giving personality to an inanimate object. And I did this a lot growing up. Like, I couldn't throw away a pair of shoes because those shoes had meaning, right? Those shoes had, like, a personality. They weren't just shoes. They were part of me, they were part of my life. They were here on this journey with me. They carried me across the floor. You know, like, not just shoes. It could be anything. It could be clothes. It could be a tech deck that my mum gave me. Everything has, like, a specific kind of personality almost, and it's so interesting that I find it difficult to understand some people's personalities when they're human beings, but I find it quite easy and simple to give a personality to an inanimate object, which is really interesting. Now, if you have experience with this, drop it in a comment down below, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Okay guys, peace.